Hey there, everybody. Here we are in game two of the Montreal Mets series, and it is April 11th, I believe, 1979. Now, the Mets start off the season. This is the fourth game of the season for the Mets, and they start off the season playing two games at Chicago, and then they go to New York, and at Shea Stadium in Flushing, Queens, they play two games against the Expos. Now, I believe these were two-game series. I'm not sure why they were. I mean, because I would figure that I would look at the schedule and I would see rain out or something, and the games just don't exist on the schedule. So I'm thinking that maybe you started off the season with two-game sets for a while. I don't know why they would do that, but that's how they did it. So we are right about to get started, and music. It's going to be Steve Rogers for the Expos on the mound versus Pete Falcone, a left-hander for the Mets. I remember Falcone. I was under the impression that he was a Cardinal at some point, but I'm not sure about that. And so we're right about to get started. For the Expos, it's going to be Andre Dawson in center field, Rodney Scott at second base, Warren Cromartie in left field, Elvis Valentine playing right field, Tony Perez batting fifth, and at first base, Gary Carter batting sixth. Hello, hey man. Cool, yeah, you're telling me. I'm like an addict, like a drug addict. I get home and I got to get my fix. I get my rubber cord and I wrap it around my arm and I inject some payoff pitch. Gary Carter batting sixth, the catcher. Lance Parrish, the third baseman, batting seventh. Chris Spear, he hit a home run in yesterday's game in a 13-inning affair, which the Expos pulled out. And it's Steve Rogers batting ninth, the pitcher. And we're right about to get started. We just want to get the crowd into the game, if you will. And there we go. A little bit background sound. Okay, here goes. We're gonna be moving. We're gonna be moving and grooving. Pete Falcone, the pitch, the lefty, pitching to Andre Dawson, and that's a 9. Now Falcone was 6-14 with a 4.16 ERA. Now he could have easily been 14-6 with a 4.16 ERA, which is not. It's not really a terrible ERA, especially for nowadays. He could easily be 14-6 with that kind of ERA, but. Anyway, a 9 is a patient, so we're going to look at Andre Dawson's patient side, and that's a 38. A patient 38, and that is going to be a line drive base hit for Andre Dawson leading off the game. He's on there with a single. And Dawson stole 35 bases, so we're going to roll. It's a 6. Anything less than a 6 or less. And 9, and that's, no, he's not going there. Rodney Scott now. The pitch from Falcone is a 7. That's a tough 59. A tough 59 is in the out range, and a 59 is a fly ball, right field. And Elliot Maddox makes the catch. Now, you know what I discovered, and what's really cool about this time period is that the last 4 games have had exactly the same Met lineup. Nobody has changed. No platoon switches, no fielding switches, no nothing, man. No, history of the batter versus the pitcher switches. None of that. It's straight up one lineup, and those guys play every day, and that's cool because that takes me back. Not that today isn't cool. I'm just saying it takes me back to a different time, and I love experiencing those different times. All right, Pete Falcone sets and deals. Warren Cromartie, the left-hander, steps in the box. And that's a tough 30. A tough 30 is going to be a strikeout. High, hard one. The cheese gets Cromartie. Steve Rogers, 13-12 in 37 games started with a 3.00 ERA. 13 complete games. So he completed about 1/3 of his games. And he's going to be facing the leadoff. Wait a second. Wait a second. What happened there? Strikes out swinging. Okay. Wow. I don't know how that happened. But I thought that was out number 3, and it wasn't. That was out number 2. So Ellis Valentine, the batter. That was weird. The Mets started running off the field, and the umpire looked at him and said, hey, looks at Willie Montanez and say, where's everybody going? Willie Montanez knew there was only 2 outs. But Chapman is second, Flynn is short, and Richie Hebner, were headed towards the dugout. They were off the field already, and even the outfielders were hesitant, and everybody was kind of confused. But no, it's Ellis Valentine, right-handed right fielder, batted .260 versus righties, but .351 versus lefties. And that's a 3. That's in play. And in play 14. And in play 14 versus a lefty is going to be an opposite field liner into right field. Runners advance 2 bases. So Andre Dawson hustles to third. And there's first and third with 2 outs now. And it's Tony Perez. Tony Perez is known for his years with the Cincinnati Reds and the Big Red Machine. He was part of that machine, if you will. At this point, he's 37 years old, and in the twilight of his career, playing with the Expos. Okay, that's a 7 against Falcone. That's a tough 65. A tough 65 is in the out range, and that's going to be a ground ball, second base, and second baseman Chapman flips to Flynn for the force, and that is all she wrote. So the Expos leave 2, and we go to the bottom of the first. We were barely getting going with this game. Stevie Rogers on the mound. He's a right-handed throwing 30-year-old with a 13-12 record and a 3 ERA for the season in 1979. Here's the pitch to Mazzilli. That's a tough 47. A tough 47 is going to be a line drive base hit to right field for Mazzilli. Now he's got 34 stolen bases because he's going to try to scoot, and that's a 6. And no, he doesn't. Stays put at first base. Kelvin Chapman. That's a 6. That's an in play 50. In play 50 versus a righty, Steve Rogers. That's going to be in the out range, and that's going to be a fly ball lifted to right field. And the right fielder, Valentine, is there, makes the out. All right, there's 1 out. Lee Mazzilli's on at first, and that's a 7. That's a tough pitch. A tough 64, and that's going to be in the out range. That's going to be a ground ball to shortstop. This may be 2. And no, and Spear, I believe it is, Chris Spear sounds right, flips to Scott, and the throw to first not in time. So Richie Hebner beats it out and hits into a fielder's choice. So a 64 was a 6-4 fielder's choice. Though the throw to first was not in time to force. And Hebner had 3 stolen bases. He requires a 2, and that's not going to happen. So it's Johnny Stearns with 2 outs. And that's an 8. That's tough. And a tough, that's not even a tough 6. And that's going to be a strikeout. High hard one gets Stearns. For out number 3. Go to top of the second now. Top of the second. No score. Falcone, the lefty, versus Carter Parrish and Chris Spear. Here is the pitch. It's an 11 ballpark. An 85, a ballpark 85 versus a righty is going to be in play. And an in-play 84 is going to be way in the out range. That's a ground ball to short. Doug Flynn to his left throws a bullet in the dirt, but a nice scoop by Willie Montanez. One away. Lance Parrish. I was going to call him Larry Parrish, but he is Lance. I wrote Lance Parrish for some reason. His name is Larry Parrish. I wonder if I've been calling him Lance Parrish. Larry Parrish. All right. Pitch from Falcone is a 7. That's tough. A tough 59. Tough 59 is going to be a strikeout. So Parrish down on strikes. And Chris Spear, 7, tough. A tough 46. A tough 46 is going to be a line drive. No, not to a lefty. And that's going to be an outrange. That's going to be a grounder. Richie Hebner gets to it. That looked like it was through and across the diamond for out number 3, 5-3. Willie Montanez is going to face Steve Rogers. Willie Montanez is a lefty. He batted .229 versus righties with 3 home runs. He actually had only 5 home runs in almost 400 at-bats. So I'm sure the Mets were highly disappointed when it came to his run and offensive production. And that's a 6 in play 87. And that's going to be an easy out for the second baseman, Rodney Scott, 4-3. And next is Steve Henderson. That's a 6 in play, an in play 0-6. And that's going to be a ball that's lying down the line into left field corner. Warren Cromartie, it bounces around out there. And he has trouble corralling it. And hustling around second is Parrish. And here's a throw to third, and he's safe. So Henderson gets under Parrish's tag, and he's safe at third with a triple, a 1-out triple by Steve Henderson. And we're going to double check that. A 6 is in play, a 0-6 in play 0-6. No, he's going to stop. He's going to stop at second base. It looked like he had a triple for sure, but he changed his mind halfway there and made it back to second underneath the tag. And it looks like a 6 is going to be a double for Steve Henderson. So we're going to have to backtrack a little bit and undo and in play double. So Steve Henderson with 1 out at second base. It's going to be Elliot Maddox. It's a 7, tough, a 62, a tough 62. It's going to be an outrange, and it's going to be popped up to the right side, and Perez, taking a few steps back, calls for it and makes the catch. 2 outs now. Henderson at second. It's Doug Flynn. And that's a 7. That's a tough 16. That's a strikeout. Curveball got him. Go to top of the 3rd inning. It's going to be Pete Falcone versus Steve Rogers. Rogers is a 5-hitting pitcher, and that's a 4 wheelhouse. A wheelhouse 85. It's going to be way in the out range. It's going to be a ground ball to short. Doug Flynn throws him out easily. I don't know why Wayne Twitchell is in there. It's weird. All right. Andre Dawson, that's a 6, tough. A tough 52, a tough 52 versus a lefty. It's going to be a strikeout. Andre Dawson strikes out. Rodney Scott, that's a 9. That's patient. A patient 81. And that's going to be a fly ball center field. Lee Mazzilli runs it down. Route number 3. 3 up, 3 down. We go to bottom of the 3rd. It's going to be Pete Falcone leading it off for the Mets. Followed by Pete Falcone is a 5 hitting card, a 5. And that's a 7. A 7 is going to be tough. A tough is going to be a strikeout. High hard one. Gets Falcone, 1 away. Lee Mazzilli now. Mazzilli's 1 for 1 with a single. That's going to be a 53. A 38. A 53 is an 8, and that's a tough. And a 38, a tough 38. It's going to be a ball that's 1 hop off the wall. Andre Dawson hustling after it. Mazzilli with good speed makes it to second under the tag for a double, a 1-out double for Lee Mazzilli. Very popular here at Shea Stadium with the hometown crowd. And it's Kelvin Chapman, a 5, that's in play. And in play 74, it's going to be outrange fly ball, center field. 2 away now. It's going to be Richie Hebner. The pitch is in play, 0-5, in play 0-5. And that's going to be a ball that's hit into the gap, and Ellis Valentine chases after it. Throw to Rodney Scott and to second base, and Hebner in with a RBI, 2-out RBI double. So Hebner comes up big time in a clutch situation. So Hebner, clutch. John Stearns, a 7. Tough. A tough 67. That's going to be in the out range. That's going to be a grounder. Chopped to Scott at second. Rodney Scott up with it and throws out John Stearns. So we go to the Mets pick up 1 run. We go to the top of the 4th. In the top of the 4th, Pete Falcone, the southpaw, is going to face Cromartie, Valentine, and Perez. It's an 11. That's ballpark. A ballpark 86 against a lefty. That's going to be in play. In play 53 against a lefty is going to be an outrange, ground ball. Third base, Richie Hebner fires to first. Gets Cromartie by a step. That's an 8. That's patient. A patient 31. A patient 31 is going to be a line drive base hit to left. Getting it in quickly is Steve Henderson. Going to see if Valentine is going to run. He had 11 stolen bases out of 20 attempts, and that's a 5. That may be it. And no, it's a 4. So he does not run. And it's Perez. That's a 4. That's a wheelhouse. A 35. A wheelhouse 35. It's going to be out of wheelhouse range. It's going to be an in-play range, and it's going to be a 19. In-play 19. Be a single, and they call it a long single into the gap in center. Runner advances 1 base, and then they give me a question mark, and I'm not going to go any more than that. So a single and by Perez, and hustling over to second is Valentine. So we have first and second, 1 out. Mets are up 1-0 here in the top of the 4th inning. It's going to be Gary Carter, the kid. Finishes his career with the Mets. I'm not sure if he goes to LA for a couple of years, but you got to double check on that. I'm just doing it from memory. Here's the pitch to Gary Carter. That's a 7. A 7 is a tough 12. It's going to be a strikeout. Curveball got him. And now it's Larry Parrish with 2 outs. Runners on first and second. And that's an 8. Patient. A patient 30. That's going to be a wild pitch. Gets away from Stearns, but Stearns has nothing to do with it. And he runs it down, and Ellis Valentine hustles over to third base on that wild pitch. And over to second is Tony Perez. So second and third now, and it's Larry Parrish. Larry Parrish. Here's the pitch to Larry. It's a 6. That's tough. A tough 41 against a lefty. Strikeout. High hard one. We go to the bottom of the 4th. This game's moving along slowly but surely. It's 1-0 Mets here in the bottom of the 4th. It's Willie Montanez, who's 0 for 1. That's a 7. That's a tough 72. And that's going to be an outrange. And that's going to be lined and caught by the shortstop. Steve Henderson. That's a 6 in play. And in play 30. In play 30. Going to be a base hit. Grounder that's through to left field in the hole. Steve Henderson had 13 stolen bases. We need a 4. Oh, and that's a 6. So he's not going. Elliot Maddox, that's a 5. A 5 is in play, and a 580. It's going to be way in the out range. That's going to be a fly ball lifted to center field. It's going to be 2 outs. Making the catch is Dawson. And it's Doug Flynn, the 8th place batter for the Mets. That's a 7. Tough 26. A tough 26 is a strikeout. Curveball got him. So Flynn goes down swinging for out number 3. P. Falcone is going to be facing Chris Spear, Rogers, the pitcher, and Andre Dawson. Pretty good 1-0 game here in the top of the 5th. That's an 8. And that's going to be patient. And that's a 40. A patient 40 against a lefty. It's going to be a base on balls. So Spear is on with a base on balls. He had no stolen bases, so he will not be running at all. Sometimes these cards are so thick they feel like there's 2 cards there. All right, so we get a pinch, sacrifice bunt, and let's see, Rogers is bunting. He's a I don't know. He's got a pitcher hitting card. So pitcher hitting card says that bunting, he's basically a 4-12. Batting, and it doesn't say a 10 in DP. He doesn't have any information. So 4-12. Usually the batting there. Oh, there. Wait a second. Usually batting there a C, or something to that effect. For hitting card. SH. There's no SH on there. There's 4-12. So I imagine that if I roll 2 dice, it's going to be 4-12 for sacrifice. So let's do that. And it's a 6, so it is a successful sacrifice bunt, and it's going to be 1-4. Over to second is Spear, and it's going to be Andre Dawson now with 1 out. The tying run at second base. It's 1-0. Mets are up 7. That's tough. A tough 72, and that's going to be. That's funny. Tough 72 against a lefty, and that's going to be a ground ball up the middle to center field for a hit. Runner on first advances to base. Runner on second scores. So that's an RBI single by Andre Dawson. The Hawk. I love those cool nicknames. The Hawk is on at first, and he's going to try to steal. He had 35 stolen bases. Oh, and that's a 3. He goes. He's a B. John Stearns. So we have to look at the pitcher, the runner and the catcher. And John Stearns, I'll show you right here. John Stearns is a 3-arm at catcher. So a B3. We'll look over here and see what it is. Then we're going to pull a fast action card. A B3 is very good. So he's a very good base stealer. I'm going to pull a fast action card. We look here. Stealing, very good, is safe. Under the tag. Andre Dawson takes second base. Grand larceny. Felony offense. And it's Rodney Scott with 1 out. That's an 8. That's a patient 89. It's a ball that's hit the shortstop. And Dawson's going to hold up there. And next is Warren Cromartie with 2 outs here in the top of the 5th. That's a Snake Eyes defense. Defense 93, and that's going to be out no matter range, defense, doesn't matter what it is. And we're going to pull to see who got it, and that's going to tell us the first baseman. Grounder to Montanez. Grounder to Montanez. Now the runner, where's the runner? Andre Dawson, I believe, was the runner, and he's a 7, so he's going to hustle over to third. Oh, that was out number 3, so it doesn't need to happen. All good. It's all good. Now Pete Falcone is leading off the bottom half of the 5th inning. Pete Falcone versus Steve Rogers. Here's the pitch to Falcone. That's a 9. Patient. A patient 21. It's going to be a line drive base hit. So Falcone is on at first. And that was a line drive to right field. Ellis Valentine gets the ball in quickly. Lee Mazzilli. That's a 6 in play, and in play 36. In play 36 is going to be just outside the hit range or the in play range. It's going to be popped up, and that's in foul territory. Carter calls for it, makes the catch, and it's Kelvin Chapman. That's an 8. That's a tough 0-4. It's a strikeout. Curveball got him. And it's Richie Hebner with 2 outs. That's a 6. That's going to be in play. And in play 61. And that's going to be easily in the out range. That's going to be a ground ball short. Spear throws to second for the force. And that's all she wrote for the Expos. I'm sorry, for the Mets. Expos coming up to bat now. It's going to be Ellis Valentine leading it off against Pete Falcone. Now Valentine is 2 for 2. That's an 8. Patient. A patient 46 against the lefty. Patient 46. Ooh, right outside the hit range. Into a pop-up to the left side. It's going to be your shortstop is there. Makes the catch. Tony Perez. That's a 3 in play. And in play 41. In play 41, and that's going to be an out. It's going to be a ground ball to Montanez. Feels it. 2 away. And it's Gary Carter. Carter's 0 for 2. That's a 10. In play 52 and in play 52 against the lefty. It's going to be a ground ball to third baseman Richie Hebner. Guns it to first. Gets Carter. Carter hustling down that line. And in the bottom of the 6th, it's the Mets. And the Mets will be bringing up John Stearns, who's 0 for 2. Here's the pitch to Stearns. That's a 6 in play, and in play 69. And that's going to be an easy out ground ball second base. 4-3 in your scorebook. Montanez, 7, tough 87, a tough 87. That's in the out range. It's a ground ball second base. 2 away. And next is Steve Henderson, the 6th place batter. 3 defense. A defense 42. Let's see what happens there. It's a third baseman. Third baseman is Parrish. And he's a 3. So a 3 is up to 36. We rolled a 42. That's going to be an out. What kind of an out? It is out to the third baseman right here. It's pop-up. So pop-up and Parrish. He's calling for it and makes the catch. So leading it off in the top of the 7th is going to be Larry Parrish. We were calling him Lance for a long time, but we corrected that. So it's Larry Parrish. He's leading it off. Here's the pitch. And that's a 7. Tough. A tough 28. A tough 28. versus a lefty is going to be a strikeout. Curveball got him. Chris Spire, I think I've been going back and forth with that name. 7, tough, a tough 93. Tough 93 is an easy out, and that's a fly ball to left. Two-way. And Rogers, an 8, a patient 39, a patient 39. It's going to be the outrange, and that's going to be a grounder to first baseman Montanez, and makes the out. Well, bottom of the 7th, Steve Rogers on the mound. It's a pitching duel here, 1-1, and that's a 5 in play, and in play 42. And that's the outrange. That's going to be a grounder to first baseman Tony Perez. Handles that easily. That's a 7. That's tough. A tough 62. That's going to be the outrange. That's going to be a grounder second base. That may be a double play. And it's going to be a 4, 6, 3, right on time, and nice stretch by Tony Perez. And that's the end of the inning and the end of the 8th inning. It's going to ground out a 4, 6, 3. The ball was to the second baseman. And that's all she wrote. Pete Falcone now. Pete Falcone versus Steve Rogers. I don't know why I just pulled. I don't know what I just did. Anyway, the pitch, it's a 7. That's tough. A tough 48 is a strikeout. Curveball got him. And it's Andre Dawson facing Pete Falcone. That's an 8 patient. A 0-8, so a patient 0-8 off a lefty is going to be a ball that's driven in the gap. Leaves Mazzilli chasing after it. Gets it back in quickly. But Andre Dawson's on at second with a single. Going to try to steal. Andre Dawson's a 6. Oh, nope. Not even close. Rodney Scott, that's an 11. Ballpark 0-7. He's batting right-handed, so that's a wheelhouse. Wheelhouse versus a lefty is 1-20. And that's a 0-9. That's a deep drive to batting righty left field. Back goes Henderson to the track, to the wall. Looks up. It's out of here. 2-run, home run. Expos lead it by a score of 3-1. And I know that Pete Falcone wishes he had that pitch back. Warren Cromartie, 11, ballpark, a 22. He's a lefty. That's going to be ballpark. It's going to be 1-12. Is out of here. 34. It's going to be line drive, base hit to right field. There's nobody out. Cromartie's going to try to take off, and an 8 won't do it. Valentine, that's an 8. That's patient, a patient 43. That takes us to the outrange. That's going to be a ground ball. This may be a double play there, and double play here. So it's going to be a 3-6-3 double play. And it's Tony Perez. It's a 5. It's ballpark. A ballpark 0-1. And that's going to be wheelhouse. Wheelhouse against the lefty. It's 1-23. Oh, 69. 1-23. 66, excuse me. And that's going to be grounded to second for out number 3. Pete Falco. Oh, Lee Mazzilli. This is Mets are up. Mets are coming up now. Mets are coming to bat. It's going to be Lee Mazzilli leading it off. Let's do that again. It's a 5. That's in play. In play 22 versus a righty. And it's going to be a line drive base hit single. Mazzilli is going to try to steal. He's a 5. Nope. And it's going to be Chapman who's going to bunt. And that's a 10. He's a B bunter. I'm sorry, I don't have to even look. He's a B bunter. All I have to do is look here. B is a sacrifice. Successful sacrifice. 1-4. Advanced by the batter. And now with 1 out, it's Richie Hebner. That's an 8. That's tough. A tough 45 against a righty. Tough 45 is a soft blooper into short right field. And runner on second is going to advance 1 base. They're going to stop Mazzilli. And stop him at third. It's a blooper. And stopping at third is Mazzilli. And it's John Stearns, 2 outs. It's a 3-1 ball game, Expos. And it's going to be John Stearns, 7. That's a tough 17 against a righty. That's a strikeout. And it's Willie Montanez against Steve Rogers. That's an 8, a tough 79, and that's going to be in the out range. That's going to be a fly ball lifted to center field. And next is going to be Gary Carter now. Gary Carter here in the bottom of the 8th inning. Going to face Pete Falcone. That's a 10 in play, a 47, an in play 47. That's going to be an out range. It's going to be grounded to third, across the diamond. And Larry Parrish, 7. That's a tough. And that's a 23, tough 23 strikeout. High hard one got him. Chris Spears up. That's a 7. Tough 41, a tough 41. It's a lefty. Ooh, it's right outside the hit range. That's going to be popped up to the left side. Calling for it is a shortstop. And that's all she wrote. We go to the bottom of the 9th inning. In the bottom of the 9th, Steve Rogers going for a complete game. Right here, it's going to be facing Steve Henderson. That's a 6 in play, an in play 50. It's going to be the out range. That's going to be popped up left side. Shortstop there. 1 away. Steve Rogers versus Doug Flynn. Flynn is 0 for 3. That's a 10. A patient 07 is going to be a ball driven into the gap. And that's going to rattle around out there. And Flynn hustling to third. And here's a relay and not in time. So Flynn with a 1 out triple in a 3-1 game. So the tying run is at the plate in Doug Flynn. I don't know what, that was Elliot Maddox. I don't know what happened there. Henderson flies out. And then it was Elliot Maddox hits a medium line drive for a triple. I don't know why I had the wrong card up there. Let me see. Henderson. And then it was Elliot Maddox. And now it's Doug Flynn. Now it's Doug Flynn. Okay, so with a runner on third and only 1 out, here's the pitch from Rogers. It's a 7, a tough 87. It's an out range. It's a grounded to short. And what is Maddox, who's at third? Maddox is a 7. That's going to be an I believe the ground. I have to double check that on the chart. I don't usually. Let me look real quick. Hold on. Okay, ground out. Runner on first. Runner on second may advance to third. Runner on third with a run rating of 7 or more scores to first base or second base. Okay, so he's going to hold up. It's a 6-3 put out. 2 outs now. Maddox is a medium line drive for a triple. Okay, so Maddox is on at third. He takes his lead. There's 2 outs, and it's Pete Falcone. And the Mets are going to bring in Joel Youngblood to actually going to bring in Ed Kranepool. We're going to bring in Ed Kranepool to hit. It's going to be Skip Lockwood is going to pitch, but Ed Kranepool is going to hit. And here he is, left-handed batter, Ed Kranepool versus Steve Rogers. Kranepool hit a pinch hit home run in yesterday's game. So it's going to be Ed Kranepool. Let's find Kranepool. All right, here's the pitch to Ed Kranepool. That's a 5. That's an in play. An in play 94. It's going to be way in the out range. It's going to be a fly ball to right field. And that's the ball game. That's all she wrote. Game over. And Steve Rogers basically pitches a 9-hitter complete game. A 9-hit complete game gives up 1 run. I'll give you the line scores. It was Expos 3 runs, 8 hits, no errors, and 5 left on base, while the Mets were 1 run, 9 hits, no errors, and 8 left on base. The winning pitcher is Steve Rogers. The losing pitcher is Pete Falcone, and we will be back soon with a new game as soon as we can. So take care. It's dinner time. Signing off is Combat Painter. Mets